Hello everybody and welcome to, finally, the garage review for the T28 Tank Destroyer, American Tank Destroyer. This thing is, just looking at it, you can tell what it is. It's a wall breacher. Well, that's what it historically would have been if it ever went into mass production, used for wall breaching. Breaking through a wall to allow for small arms and presumably other lighter armor to pass through. With that massive 120mm gun and some very, very thick frontal armor. The frontal armor of this is stated as 254, but it really isn't. It's 254. In fact, if we go into this, much easier to see the entire tank. 254 is this bit of the tank. This tiny bit in front of the, behind the gun mantlet, so nobody in their right mind is going to shoot you there, and if they are, they're going to go through this massive gun mantlet as well. And the rest of the tank, these bits here, and this quite flat frontal plate there, is actually only 204mm thick, which is still pretty good, especially given the slopes here, and, this isn't really very sloped, but I don't get a lot of people shooting me there. Often it's quite difficult to. You can angle it. And yeah, I don't get a lot going through there. Most of the penetrations against this tank are going to be coming from, rather predictably, these cupolas. Every heavily armed tank in World of Tanks tends to have massive weak spots. And this is the T28s, these two cupolas here. This one less so because it's further back, but this frontal cupola here is where most of the penetrating hits go. Your side armor is only 50, however, so, if you get hit in the side here, and quite low down hull as well, so yeah, don't let them get your sides or they're going to penetrate you. Although I have bounced some on this pretty well sloped surface here, so smaller guns will still bounce you sometimes from the side if they don't hit you right. Engine power 510 horsepower for a 60 ton 60 ton monster like this. It's slow. It's really slow. An 18km/h speed limit, so what do you expect? And an 18 degree per second traverse. The guns, there are a couple. The 90mm AT gun there is the same one that goes all the way down to the Jackson, I think. No, it's actually the same one that's on this, but the stats are actually very similar, so you really don't want to be using that. On the T25 you unlock the 105, so there's no reason you should be using that gun on this. Most of my games I played with the 105 because this 120mm with 400 average damage versus the 320 on the 105 costs you 51,000 experience. So it's quite a long grind to get there, and then you're faced with 165 for the T95. But the two guns are pretty much just an upgrade. There's no benefits really of running the 105. You have a slightly faster rate of fire, but it just doesn't matter. And a slightly faster aiming time. But this thing isn't moving very quick anyway, so the average damage on this is 320. Average damage on this is 400. So it's a big upgrade. The penetration, especially 198 to 248. That's beautiful. Also, the thing looks amazing. Look at that gun. It's gigantic. When we compare it to the 105 there, and if we put the 90 on it, look at that spindly little thing, and then, bam, big-ass tier 10 gun. It's used on the T30, T95, and T28 prototype. But the T95 actually gets a 155mm gun with 750 average damage, which is wonderful. That's pretty damn great. So, talked about it a little bit. Maybe talk about it a little bit more, actually, because I'm still thinking of things here. This is pretty obvious. Those are fuel tanks. Yep. Artillery loves you. Because my game just tabbed me out, that's why. Artillery loves you because you're just a massive, slow-moving target with, I mean, come on, visible fuel tanks. Yeah. The equipment load for this, I've got a camo net on it, and binoculars. I really just brought those up from the T28 AT. Really, I would recommend vents, a gun rammer, and actually, I really can't think of a third piece. Maybe a toolbox, because people are going to shoot your tracks a lot. I've actually got these two just because they're brought up from my previous tank, and you know, whatever. As well as the enhanced suspension, because I couldn't be asked to grind out these tracks before getting the gun, especially because they aren't used on the T95. So, you know, I would rather just play with the vertical coil springs. If I had shit tons of credits, I would have this differently loaded out differently. That's the one. But I don't. So, you know. T28, everybody. Let's go into some replays, because I've got some pretty good ones. So I really loved this replay just because it kind of demonstrates the capabilities of the T28 to do very little and achieve a lot. This is actually the game I got my mastery badge in. And you see me moving at 14, 15 kilometers an hour here along this flat ground. Yeah, that's how fast you're going to move. So, I slowly haul myself into position over here, and then I barely move. Go into my view here. This is obviously with the 105mm gun. Got a decent rate of fire, decent penetration. Obviously, it went into that Lerva's turret, so I didn't expect to get much out of that. I just love this this particular replay because it's me barely moving and throwing tons of damage out across the map here. Not really demonstrating what this tank is all about with its armor, but this is a good way to play this tank, you know? Sit back, be a tank destroyer. It makes a lot of sense. That's how you're going to have the best games in this. But an aggressive playstyle, pushing really far forward, can be really fucking brilliant as well. But the best situation is really this kind of map where you're going to have almost no time at all between your reloads, or between your shots after you reload. And there's some nice bouncing there. Tiger 2. Not getting through there. Not from that distance. Another reason to stay back. Your armor's much more effective at range. People often forget about that. And the Black Prince there. Angled quite well. Tiger 2 wants to give me it. But low damage roll. And this is why I love this map, because you just have so much view over the map, and when there's just enemies doing what they're doing here, giving you shots, it's so easy just to not stop shooting and rack up tons and tons of damage. And I love tanks like, well, British tanks with their high DPM, small caliber guns. They don't tend to very reliably penetrate this tank. That's a beautiful damage roll, 381 on a 320 average damage gun. Unfortunately, my penetration with this gun is actually quite low as well, 198 I think it is. 198 indeed. So, you know, you'll get some bounces on angled armor. With the 120mm gun, not much of a problem with over 250 penetration, but I haven't played many games in that yet, so I don't really have any good replays to show off with it. So this battle's moving on. The KV-1S coming over there. He's not going to come over for me though, because why would he? And Lerva. Unfortunately, I don't get to finish him off, and that's the end of the game there. 3,652 displayed damage. It's a little bit more than that in reality, more like 4,000. I got my mastery badge. If I can find the score screen, I'll show you it, and I should be able to. So, if I've got it, there it is. Next replay. So this replay's what I really like to be doing in this tank is pushing, really pushing the front line. So it's a fairly decent map for it. So we're gonna very slowly make our way over here. Very slowly make our way over here. And 5916. Boom! Tank gone. Track gone. He repairs it, it's gone again. Oh. Isn't that just the most awful feeling? And don't finish him off because low damage roll. Oh well. Shit happens. And carry on pushing now that the scout is dealt with. Indian Panzer in the side of the turret. Probably in the front of the turret too, because it's a medium. So something went right through me there. Trying to figure out where it was, just next to the gun mantlet there. So I repair my gun because don't want to deal with that. And then my main gun is broken again. I just repaired that, so that's a sucky result. And then I critical hit the Indian Panzer, which means I don't get to kill him, which is annoying. But at least I know I broke something. So I know that there's an IS down there. There he is. Gonna go right through that. And we can see from the mini-map there, if I just bring it up, there's a lot of unspotted tanks over here. So maybe I should be cautious, or maybe I should be a T28 and just roll forward shooting. I was kind of waiting, thinking I would aim more then, but broken gun, not gonna happen. That IS is coming around, or just sticking where he is. I can't really tell. I'm not going to get any shots at those guys over there, so I'll roll forward. Indian Panzer sticking up. I'm hoping to be blessed. There and here's Capola with a broken gun. Not going to happen. Not in a million years. This Panther's making himself easy. Take an arty hit. There's only a little bit of splash damage though, so it's fine. The IS showing me his side, and then this Dicker Max going to cause me some problems here because he's on my flank. I can't really move up, and he can see my side armor, so I'm just going to poke up there, tell him to fuck off with a 105mm shell, and can't quite get that IS. Shot flies low and bursts the dirt. So I really want to finish this Dicker Max off. Shell misses. And he hits my Capola. This Dicker Max is causing me a lot of trouble. I'm hoping that IS will be able to kill him. And miss him. IS gets the IS. And then I take a HE shell by the looks of things from that KV-1S. And right through his turret. Now this Dicker Max is taking it from that 1375, giving me a nice opportunity to shoot at that Panther and miss. But oh well. And then I didn't penetrate him. I think it was just a weird shell angle on his lower plate. Because it won't happen again. No, it will! I didn't go through his tracks that time. At least that gives me an opportunity to shoot him again. and finally go through the fucking Panther 2. I had no problem penetrating anything else, but then fucking Panther 2, hell no. So he shot out my track, and I bounced off of him again. That's really surprising, actually. It was on the turret, to be fair, but I think it's the Schmelter turret on that Panther 2, which I did go through that time. That's 3,500 damage. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything more here because I'm in a T28. If I've got the score screen again, I'll throw it up on the screen. This one was a steel wall, predictably, and a nice 3,500 damage. Next replay. So this final replay here is just a really nice illustration of how much damage this thing can take, how much potential damage this thing can take. So, just speed up a bit here because this thing is slow. Slowly rolling towards a position here. We are, of course, attacking the defenders. And come over and can't quite hit that lurver, and somebody takes my track. It was a T34. And then I think I took a little arty hit there as well. Come on, Mr. Lurver. This T28 is telling me to follow him. I'm not really sure why. M4 is telling me to follow him, rather. To his death, I assume. So my tracks are up. I'm still bouncing shots from over there. And there's another arty hit. Damaged my gun as well. That Lurver is acting as a great scout for them. While I sit here and bounce shots. And I'm doing my wiggle so they can't get my cupola. That Lurver is indeed an epic Lurver scout, lol. Self-proclaimed. I love it when they self-proclaim. So what we know is over there is a T32 and AMX 1375, which is probably not over there anymore. And now this Jagdpanzer IV. And I have a broken gun and no repair kit, because for some reason I thought it was a good idea to use it on my tracks earlier. Really shouldn't repair your tracks in this. They're gonna break. Just deal with it. Everybody's gonna shoot them, so don't bother repairing them. Save it for when somebody breaks something important. Because now I can't hit anything. Especially not a 1375. I don't know why I'm even thinking about that. When I could be hitting this T-34 on his exposed hull. People, if you're playing American tanks, your hulls aren't very good. Just rely on the turrets. So now we know that there are 4 tanks over there, a T-32, the Jagdpanzer, a Jagdtiger 88, and a T-34. So this is where the T28 rolls forward. Look at all those bounces. So many bounces. It's beautiful, isn't it? All those orange lines. And then one manages to go through, and another, and it sets me on fire. They're putting out 55 health. Still bouncing. 4 in the same second. One health! Highlander! And that's what the T28 is. It's the Highlander. And then the artillery takes me out. But I hope I can find the score screen for this one, because it's something like 13,500 potential damage there. If I'd managed to survive it and we didn't win the game, obviously, but if I'd managed to survive that, it would have been an obvious steel wall. All the potential damage. Highlander!